Hello out there in TV land. It is time for your voice note. So, yeah, okay, a lot of things swirling through my brain. But in this past Sunday Soul Sessions post, we talked about strategy being the path to success. And something else that I also said in that Sunday Soul Sessions was that sometimes the strategy is not what else can we do? It's what do we need to stop doing, right? It's not what we need to start. Sometimes it's what we need to stop. And I was talking to a new friend of mine on Friday, and it was so interesting talking to her because we were talking about our goals and the things that we want to do differently after this experience that we had while we were all together. And she was like, well, what about you? What are your goals? What are you, going to do? And I was like, this is so interesting. I was like, I'm at a point in my life now where, I think I want to say in the last few years, I've stopped truly setting goals. It's not that I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm actually accomplishing so much more by not fighting my natural rhythm in particular. But I just don't have goals in the same traditional fashion, I know where I would like to be, but I'm really allowing spirit to reveal things to me step at a time in the good timing when my I can actually handle it and act on it and make, actual moves and stuff. And I was just thinking about how refreshing that is to really just be honoring my own rhythm and not getting so caught up in what's going on next to me, around me, in front of me, behind me. I'm literally focused on my own race and putting my 2 feet out in front of me every day, my 2 hands out in front of me every day to help get the stuff done as I hear it, as I see it. And again, I just wanted to, drop in and give you all permission to check in with yourself, check in with your rhythm, and ensure that you're honoring your natural rhythm. This is your 18th. This is gonna be a reminder constantly, but this is your reminder to really focus on yourself and honoring your rhythm. And this is your permission again, because sometimes we forget and we need the permission slip again. And that's our little reset, our little reboot. And we're doing good for a while, but then we need another reminder of it's okay to do things the way that you're doing them, to take the road less traveled, Sometimes it doesn't feel right in the moment, but as things unfold, you're like, dang, I couldn't have done it any other way. So this is just, again, another reminder to do things the way that works for you, the way that fits you, your lifestyle, to check in with your natural rhythm. And if something works for somebody, you like it, you can adopt it and make it yours. But just ensure that you're doing it from a solid place, right? Not from a place of comparison, because, as they say, comparison is the thief of joy, and it's really true. When you start trying to do it or taunt it or flaunt it like somebody else, then sometimes you're at a disadvantage or already at a loss because you're in that comparison mode. The only person that you should be comparing yourself to is your last week's results, your past results, and improving upon that. Doesn't mean you can't get inspiration from people, but as I would like to remind us that inspiration is great, but copy paste, whole other thing, So make sure you're putting your stamp on it, your spin on it, you can have a template, but make sure that template actually works with you and who you are and fits your goals, your plans, your future. Make sure that shit works for you. Because only you can do you like you do you, okay? I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. All right? You know what I'm saying? So that is the message. If you are not a paid subscriber yet, you want to make sure you go over to our Substack newsletter. All that information is actually in the show notes. Make sure you become a free subscriber at minimum and then upgrade to become a paid subscriber, because I'm dropping so much more in the paid tier of our newsletter. Right now we're doing a mini series on projection and how projection can show up and how it can, look, especially when you're at that point of breakthrough. And it's interesting when you're at the point of breakthrough, at the point of self-acceptance, that's when projection likes to stroll on in, and, shake some shit up. Projection just can't help itself. It follows the breakthroughs. It follows the almost breakthroughs. It follows that energy, right? Because that's what a projection needs to thrive on. Think about projection like a little beast, a little monster that needs to be fed all the time. It's like that sugar monster that a lot of us got. That's how projection is. Projection needs to feed off of that beautiful breakthrough, energy, that beautiful self-acceptance energy, because otherwise it wouldn't have nothing else to thrive on. So if you're, receiving projection, you're receiving these kind of like weird energies in these most beautiful places. Like I shared how I went to a spiritual event with some friends and then experienced some projection within that event, right? When you're in these spaces, like it thrives off of that kind of energy. You have to understand that. So like sometimes people are like, why me? Why me? Because you're a light. And people are like, oh, you are what you attract. And I don't fuck with that nonsense. I believe that's bullshit. When you're good, you're going to attract everything. Like, when you're good, you have good energy, you're going to attract everything. It's about what we entertain, though. That's the difference, right? But you're going to attract everything when you're good, okay? And a lot of us got this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing light flowing from us. And so we have to remember, as we continue to have breakthroughs, as we continue to accept ourselves more, as we become the leaders that we are, because leaders are always under attack, right? We are going to go through these things. And remember that these types of energies feed off of this energy, right? Like they want the light to be consumed by darkness. And we have to keep going inward to feed our lightness. Because when we start to feed the areas of ourselves that we believe ourselves to be versus who we actually are, we stay down in that darkness even longer. And then we forget ourselves. And then we come back to ourselves. But then again, sometimes this cycle could start of, oh my God, how did I betray myself like that? So feed the person that you truly are, your true spirit. And don't get discouraged when all these things come out of the woodwork while you're starting to do really good out of the woodwork, because that means that you're growing, That means that like you're shining pretty brightly. And sometimes people can't handle the shine. And they don't even realize that that's what they're doing, So I'll just say that. Bask in your lightness. Find the people that support you in your lightness and the people that stand in their own, right? Like, don't just, dive into people that need you. Dive into people that, are glowing on their own right too, that are living in their fullness and their autonomy, and they're embracing all of that despite everything else, okay? That's who you need to surround yourself with. People that you can learn from, people that can learn from you, and vice versa, people that are open and receptive. That's what you need to surround yourself with, okay? That's the message. And have a beautiful, phenomenal freaking week. And y'all gonna be hearing from me again a lot this week. And I look forward to some more conversation in the comments. But yeah, message. That's the message.